So thank you again for attending and welcome to today's secondary education updates. Today is April 6, 2021. The purpose of today's meeting was to make sure that we communicated to our community members some significant changes that are taking place in secondary education. And just so everyone knows, these updates have been communicated in previous Educational Affairs Committee meetings. However, because of the significance of the updates, board members have requested, and we agree 100% that these are presentations that are worth repeating and worth doing a second time because of the significance. Also, before I go any further, I do want everyone on this call to know, as well as anyone who may watch the recording, that this will be posted on our website and will be posted prominently in our other places of communication to make sure that any of our community members who were not able to attend today will have an opportunity to get today's content and to hear today's information. So with that, can you go to the next slide, Ms. Collins? Today's presentation will be in two parts. The first part will be for Cedar Brook, and the second part will be specifically to Shelton High School. So if you don't have students who are in both configurations, Cedar Brook families, you are welcome to exit the meeting after the Cedar Brook portion of the presentation, or you're welcome to stay to hear about the high school, because as we all know, Cedar Brook is 2 years, and then we all transition to Shelton High School. So you may find that information useful even at this early point. It's never too soon to get prepared for the next level. So Cedar Brook's updates will be presented by our Director of Secondary Education, Ms. Collins. And specifically, Ms. Collins is going to share the information around Cedar Brook's change in scheduling and what that means for students, what that means for teachers, what that means for families. She is also going to share some curriculum updates around literacy at Cedar Brook. And if I could give you a 500 feet overview of the two main changes that I want you to keep with you throughout the presentation, and also to think about at the conclusion of the presentation, the two major things that I want you to remember is, number one, as it pertains to literacy and curriculum changes, Cedar Brook's literacy curriculum is receiving a mini facelift, in that we are raising the bar for all students, making sure all students have access to PDE's standards for middle school curriculum, and making sure that all of our students at Cedar Brook have rigor in their interactions with the curriculum, and also that they use text and resources that are up to date and that reflect the culture and climate of not only the Cheltenham School District, but also our area, our state, as well as our international landscape. In terms of scheduling, the major update is that students will see themselves in what we call a flexible schedule, where students will spend more time in classrooms with teachers. They may see some of their teachers less frequently during the week, but the time that they spend with their teachers will be extended. We believe this model gives teachers and students more flexibility to get more done, especially when we're talking about science labs, so that we're not having students stop their instruction early to transition to the next thing. Mathematics projects can also be completed in a more comprehensive way with a longer frame of time. English assignments, all of our different subject areas, as well as our electives, will all see that our students will all receive additional time with students at a longer pace, if you will, so that students don't feel rushed and our teachers don't feel rushed. And I can tell you, as a former teacher, once you get engaged into a lesson and once students really get involved, it really hurts when you have to stop at a point and say, you know, we've run out of time. So this does allow teachers to run out of time less frequently and to add more time when they have their students in front of them. So without any further delay, I just wanted to make sure that I hit that those are the two key features of our Cedar Brook updates. Ms. Collins is going to walk us through those details, and she and I will kind of go back and forth to discuss how these updates will modify and impact Cedar Brook's day-to-day operations and what it will look like also on a district level. So Ms. Collins.
Good morning, everyone. These are just the standard pages we have in terms of the district mission statement and vision statement. Currently, meaning for this school year, the language arts curriculum at Cedar Brook, this is how the course description read for English 7 and English 8 at grade for grade level English. This is what we have for learning support for our students who are in English 7 who require learning support. As you know, learning support is determined by the IEP team. And this is what we had was called enriched, the enriched course, which basically provides, you can see the description is the same for English 7 and 8. However, it doesn't really speak to the true content of the course, and it was basically left to the teacher's discretion in terms of how that particular course is ran. There's no curriculum documents, or there were no curriculum documents for the enriched course. However, when we went to revise the curriculum for grades 7 and 8, and this was a collaborative effort with the Cedar Brook English department, when we developed the new curriculum, we developed an English 7 and an English 8 aligned to the PA core standards, which requires all of the items that are listed here in the enriched course be embodied into what is considered the grade level English course. Also for English as a second language, as you know, that determination is made by assessment. And then we have a reading course. It was where they used Read 180 and or SRA within Cedar Brook at the time. And we also had an offering called Literary Workshop. Now this course was placed, students were placed in this course in lieu of a world language. So the assumption was made that if a student couldn't perform well in world language, then they would get a literary workshop. So we had another number of students who would come to Cedar Brook and not receive world language because they automatically was placed inside literary workshop. So in terms of the PA core standards that Dr. Smith spoke to earlier, these are the standard benchmarks for at each level. This is what we use to frame our development of curriculum. So once we have finalized the English 7 and English 8 language arts curriculum, and this process took us over a few years with teachers implementing resources, going back to revise based on implementation, adding some documents, adding resources, and we also continue to add novels for students. So now we have aligned our ELA curriculum to the PA core. It is integrated with a writing and reading curriculum. With developmental benchmarks along the way. It is the same for English 7 and for English Language Arts 8. Instead of just saying learning support, we add the asterisk, and as you know, our IEP students as well are required to learn to the PA core standards. So the revisions were made with our IEP students in mind as well, with modifications for their classrooms. And our special education teachers worked along with us as we developed the core curriculum documents. English as a second language did not change. However, the course of reading as a course is going to for students with an IEP requiring targeted reading instruction. And they will be identified by their IEP team. And we have a few programs at Cedar Brooks that we use for reading. So therefore, we didn't list the programs here, but you see what the emphasis will be in those particular classes. Our intervention tool is Read 180. And this course is open to regular education and special education students. However, we see a need a student we believe has a targeted need for intervention and reading. And we believe that we can assist them with intense instruction. Read 180 provides that support and will help students to develop over time. Supporting the change of us moving to one core curriculum for English, English language arts 7, English language arts 8. We are supporting our teachers actually in grades 7 through 12 with upcoming professional learning in collaboration with the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. Penny Kittle, who is a renowned speaker and educator for English language arts. She actually our teachers had an opportunity a few years ago to do a workshop with her. We have asked the IU to bring her back, and they will start their first session with her in June, and they will have an additional session in August. Both of these sessions will take a deep dive into looking at the use of book clubs and how we engaged our students in reading within the classroom based on themes or student interest. And also ensuring that our students get what they need to be college and career ready. And this is the second session that I just spoke about that'll happen in August with our students, with our teachers. So those are the major changes for Cedar Brook in terms of the ELA curriculum. As I stated, this has been an ongoing process. Teachers had worked on it collaboratively at each grade level. The documents, we finally finalized our core curriculum documents basically around the summer of this school year. However, as you know, right now, we're currently in the coming out of the pandemic, and we are still just finalizing additional resources. And like I said, all text selection, all novels have been selected by the teachers for implementation. Cedar Brook's new schedule. The new schedule will have ELA and mathematics meet for 61 minutes. Students will have science and social studies and world language for 60 minutes on 4 days out of a 6-day rotation. Students will also still have the opportunity to select the multiple electives like they have had in the past. And we increased our student instructional time in core classes from approximately 45% of their day to 70% of their day. And that was a huge gain for us. When we looked at the old schedule, the way it was piecemeal, our students were not getting direct instruction in core classes for the amount of minutes needed to really help see increased student achievement for all students. All students will still continue to have a win period as well every day where they can get intervention and enrichment as needed during the school day, so they would not have to stay after school. They can get those supports during the school day. Are there any questions in regards to Cedar Brook?
And can we just take a pause here to give people time to think about what was presented and to kind of get their questions together? So let's give about 2 minutes, Ms. Collins, is that okay?
No, that's fine. Can you
Okay.
just tell me if you see any questions?
I will.
Thank you.
If any of our attendees have any questions, you can use the Q&A feature to ask any questions. And as always, if you don't have any questions during the presentation and you think about questions after the presentation is over, we will post our contact information. Basically, you can email myself, Tamara Thomas Smith, or Ms. Collins, our Director of Secondary Education, or our Supervisor of STEM, Dr. Brian Reilly. Let's take about 1 more minute. We'll go into the Cheltenham High School portion of the presentation. And again, if you think about your questions after the fact, we will be able to answer Cedar Brook questions at the conclusion of the Cheltenham High School presentation, if necessary. Okay. Next slide, please. So the next set of updates are around Cheltenham High School, which will also be presented by Ms. Collins and supported by myself and Dr. Reilly. And the key updates to Cheltenham High School, as I started with Cedar Brook, I gave you the key updates to kind of the 500 feet. The big 2 takeaways that you want to walk away from this presentation is, 1, the concept and the utilization of class rank at Cheltenham High School will be eliminated. We are presenting that to the policy committee to eliminate class rank. Ms. Collins will speak to how the high school staff, high school leadership, as well as central office leadership came to this recommendation to eliminate the concept of class rank. And the second key takeaway, similar to Cedar Brook, is the change in the high school schedule. And basically that change reflects similarly to Cedar Brook, where you will see more instructional time and more instructional minutes with teachers and students at one time. So without any further delay, I will turn things back over to our Director of Secondary Education.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Smith. So I'm just going to So Cheltenham High School class rank recommendation. We met collaboratively during the 2019-2020 school year with this Cheltenham High School counselors, the department chairs, the administration, and myself to really talk about what we believe was in the best interest for our students at Cheltenham High School in regards to class rank. So we also took a look at what other Montgomery County high schools were doing around in this same area, in addition to what did our local colleges and universities, what did they say and get feedback that we get in regards to how class ranked is used. So currently, here's our chart as of when we presented previously. This is where how class rank is if it's calculated or not throughout Montgomery County. So you can see here that Abington is planning to eliminate, Hatboro-Hersham is eliminating in 21-22 school year. Lower Marion, Jenkintown, and Lower Moreland do not currently utilize class rank. So in addition to Cheltenham, only Springfield Township and Upper Moreland currently still have class rank and utilize it. So based on that information, the team had determined that that Cheltenham High School, beginning with the 2021-2022 school year, we will be eliminating calculation of class rank. Basically, colleges and universities, because of the the fact that a number of local secondary schools have determined they will no longer calculate class rank. It was hard to use it as a determining factor for student admission if each school doesn't provide it for students for entry. So this became a conundrum for universities, because you can't hold the standard for all kids if all kids don't have it available to utilize in terms of whether or not it should get them into the university. One of the leading resources that we took a look at was the National Association for College Admissions Counseling. You will see a table in the presentation where it talks about what's important in terms of college selection and admission of students. And because class rank is calculated based on GPA, students choose sometimes not to broaden their high school experience, because most electives courses don't carry the same weight as an honors or an advanced placement course. So they choose not to take this course, or maybe not advance their studies in a specific area, because they don't want the regular weight to bring down their GPA, which would inevitably hurt their class rank. So if you take a look at what's important for college admissions officers, as you can see, grades in college prep courses, or grades in all courses, the strength of overall curriculum. And then you see, as it gets under 50% admission test scores, essay or writing sample, and then you see class rank at the very bottom. Also, just so you know, and as you heard in the media, a lot of institutions have waived SAT, not only for this school year, but the upcoming school year as well in terms of admissions. So with that being said, it really calls into question how heavily we really, how much weight they're putting on these other outside factors in determining how a student, or whether or not a student is going to be successful in their college or university. So some of the admissions office spoke to how they feel about class rank. Where they see you can explore, they may take an AP or honors course, not necessarily because it's their passion or their interest. It's all about just trying to increase their GPA. In addition, as we all know, it's been reoccurring in terms of looking at students' mental health and the level of stress, in terms of when you take those extra loads and you put that burden on yourself as a student, and you really want to do well, that it really sometimes impacts their mental health. And as you can see, this is just basic information from local universities in regards to what they're seeing in terms of how they're not even receiving the information as it relates to class rank. But what's more important to them is academic excellence. You know, what leadership opportunities have students displayed? What service opportunities have they taken a part of? And in terms of just local institutions, Swarthmore, which you know is highly selective, only 44% of their incoming students provided class rank in 2018. And these are just additional examples from admission officers from Johns Hopkins, from the University of Maryland. And as I stated previously, we are only one of 5 area high schools to calculate class rank with, which, as you saw too, with the intentions of eliminating class rank within the upcoming school year. Since it's not required by institutions of higher education for admissions, we are recommending that discontinue the utilization of class rank at Cheltenham High School. We do truly believe that eliminating class rank outweighs any disadvantages. And ideally, we celebrate all of our students' success and academic achievements, and we will continue to do so. But class rank doesn't allow that opportunity. These were some of the resource articles that we read and reviewed in regards to exploring our decision in regards to class rank. And as Dr. Smith said, this presentation will be available online. Second piece is Cheltenham High School schedule. Just like Cedar Brook this past year, they both school teams, school leadership teams, sat down with master scheduler Dr. Reddick to help develop and come up with a plan for scheduling that ensured that our students had received more instructional time throughout the day and had the opportunity to gain enrichment or intervention as well during the school day. So Cedar Brook, Cheltenham High School will be using a block schedule, a 4x4 modified schedule. Students will have 4 classes per day with the daily intervention period and obviously lunch. So for students, a sample schedule, like in the fall semester, a student could take English 10, Algebra 2, AP World History, which will actually go all year long, every other day, and a music elective, and then their chemistry class. And then the spring semester, a student could take pre-calc, health, PE, AP World, music, art and engineering course. So they will have many options as we move forward in terms of one, advancement in the ability to participate in a variety of courses at Cheltenham High School. They will also, as we continue to develop a new curriculum for Cheltenham High School, they will be able to, explore more of their passions, in addition to allow themselves to take some dual enrollment courses as well, clearly by their senior year, with the ability to have a more flexible schedule, plus ensuring that our kids are no longer focused on the 8 classes that they currently take a day that they did in our old schedule. Just focusing on 4 classes, we believe, is definitely a better fit for our students and gives them a lot more flexibility in regards to, allowing them to not be as stressed and really focus on their academic studies. Those were the 2 major focus for the high school. If at this time I can take any questions in regards to Cheltenham High School's proposals.
So I'd like to say thank you, Ms. Collins, for both presentations and the information provided today. I want to remind all of our attendees that this information will be posted online. You can watch this recording again And again, this information is also a part of our educational affairs agendas and presentations. So there is another copy that exists in other places. If you have any questions or follow-up questions or concerns, or maybe you speak to your student and some additional questions come up, please feel free to reach out to myself, Tamara Thomas Smith, our Director of Secondary Education, Ms. Charlene Collins, or our Director of STEM, Dr. Reilly. Any of us can help you, can respond to your questions, or address any concerns that you may have. And what I'd like to do is, it's 10:06. I'd like to leave the Zoom room open for approximately 2 more minutes to give some of our guests an additional time to think about any questions they may want to pose during the presentation. But again, you can always ask follow-up questions afterwards as well. And it looks like we do have a question in the Q&A. Oh, not a question, just a statement. Thank you for hosting. You're welcome. So we're going to leave the room open for approximately another minute and a half, to give anyone else time to make questions or give comments. So with that, thank you for joining us. That concludes today's presentation. Please feel free again to reach out after you've had a chance to process the information or review it with your children. And that's it. That's all we have today. Thank you, Mr. Kaufman, for your technical support with today's meeting. And thank you, Ms. Collins, and thank you, Dr. Reilly.